you're struggling with responsive design, I'm going to be making this website section card responsive. Watch me as I take you through the process of how I will make this responsive in Figma. So the first rule when you're working responsive design is that the container that's housing the whole element, you don't want to make it an auto layout first. You want to leave it as it is without being an auto layout. So the first thing I want to do is to make all these elements into an auto layout. So I just select all of them individually and then I make it an auto layout with Shift A. I also don't have to forget this guy below, and I also put it in an auto layout and press Shift A. So everything now is centered into an auto layout. Now the next thing we want to do is that I want to ensure that each of these elements are set to fill. So I'm going to click on this about us. So this about us, make sure it is set to fill. So it's usually going to be in hog or whatever, but make sure it is in fill. Do the same thing for the bolder text and make sure it's in fill, and then the subtext and also make sure it's in fill. So sometimes it's usually be in hog or something, but also make sure it's in fill. And this one as well, make sure it is in fill. While making all of those to be in fill is that we want it to fill the width of the auto layout. Yeah, so if I want to now take this down, now you see that it's not being responsive. Why this is not responsive now is because you have to ensure that a particular element does not have another frame that is housing it, right? So let me show you what I'm talking about. If you look at this big text, right, to come to the layers panel, you see that it has the frame and then it has the text. So you want to remove that text away from that frame, right? So when you remove it now, you see that this is an empty frame now, so you delete it now. So when you do this now, you also do the same thing for other ones and ensure that they don't have a frame that is housing it as well. So once you're done with this, what you want to do is that, right, it's not still responsive. Now we have to go into that text now and also make it to fill. Now watch. Once I make it to fill, now see what happens when I try to make it responsive. Now it's responsive, right? Now this is now where it starts to make sense, right? So the next thing I want to do now is to make my frame an auto layout. I'll hold my frame and then press Shift A. Now it's an auto layout, right? So you see what happened now. Now what I want to do is I want to give it a top padding, right? Exactly. Yeah. Why it's not responsive now is because the content within is not set to fill. So you have to set it to fill. This is the power of fill basically. So when you set it to fill, now watch what happens. You see? It now becomes responsive. Now this is responsive with a margin or a padding, as how you call it, right? But sometimes it's not advisable for you to use padding, especially your horizontal padding, right? It's preferable you use a max width, right? I'm going to be creating a video where I explain that it's important to use max width as opposed to using a padding or a margin in responsive design. So in case you want me to do that, just drop it in the comment section so that I will then create the video. So if you like this and if you're enjoying the tutorial, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, and then leave a comment.